Hey, everybody. This is Doug from Live in Memory. One of my favorite sayings is that you don't have to travel far to live in memory because new memories await always in our own backyards. And this is so true because coming up on April 8th, because on April 8th, Monday, April 8th, we have a solar eclipse that is going to be covering backyards all across the country. I mean, what an opportunity and what a memory that will be to get excited about the solar eclipse. So today, I have the honor of having Dr. Michael Cushing from the University of Toledo, the director of the Ritter Planetarium, with us to talk about the solar eclipse. So, Michael, thank you so very much for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So, okay, as an astronomer, right, physics and astronomy, you got to be excited about this, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a once in a lifetime thing. I have never seen a total solar eclipse, and so just like hundreds of thousands of other people, this will be the first time I've seen one. So yeah, I'm really excited.
Oh my God. What are you going, I'm just kind of curious. What are you going to be looking for? I mean, you've heard about it, you've studied it, I'm sure, for the public out there, what kind of things are you looking for? Maybe we can get excited about.
I mean, I'm told that it is a very spiritual sort of, reptilian response in the back of your brain. Your hair
Sure.
stands up. And, I'm not necessarily looking for science. I'm just looking to experience it as a member of the human species. And so I just want to be with my wife and daughter and enjoy seeing this thing that, most people don't get to see sometimes in their lifetime.
Sure. I've got on the screen right now a picture that I took, and I got to admit, I was the luckiest dude in the world back in 2017 because I was traveling to Nashville on the day of the eclipse. And I actually saw the eclipse. The plane was late getting into Nashville. And so I saw it through the skylights in the airport. We were running so late. But I put on the glasses and I looked up, and this is what I saw. I mean, it was just so, and I took this off my camera.
Yeah.
I got to admit, it was really, really cool. It
yeah.
Really
I mean, it's
cool.
It gets dark in the middle of the day. That's not a normal thing for people to experience. And some stars, some planets come out. You get to see the sort of ghostly halo around the sun. So yeah, it's an incredible event.
One of the things that, and I hope people, as you're seeing the eclipse, this is what I notice is really weird, and maybe that's kind of what you're, about just the feeling of it all. The light, a few minutes before the actual eclipse, the peak, the light was different. I can't explain it. It almost was like light was shimmering or something. It was iridescent in a way.
Yep.
And I can't describe it any other way. And I've heard other people say something similar to that.
Yes. Yeah. It's you've got this shadow racing at you.
Yeah.
1,000, 2,000 miles an hour coming from the west. And so, yeah, I mean, you're cutting off half the sort of sunlight, and then it comes over you and it looks like there's sort of dusk all the way around you, 360 degrees, because you're looking out from under the shadow
to
other places where it's sunny still. So yeah, it's a really weird experience, I've heard, and I can't wait to experience it.
So what is a solar eclipse? For the person out there, what do we, because you hear lunar eclipses, there's different ones. So what is a solar eclipse versus maybe like a lunar eclipse?
Yeah, so the eclipses are all about shadows. And so, the Earth casts a shadow into space, and the sun and the moon casts a shadow into space.
Sure.
And most of the time they just go into space and you never notice it. But every once in a while, one of the bodies will move into the shadow of the other, and then you get an eclipse. So when the moon moves into the Earth's shadow, you get a lunar eclipse. And when the Earth moves into the lunar shadow, you get a solar eclipse.
Sure.
And so from the perspective of someone on Earth, it looks like the moon moves in front of the sun.
Right.
And for a solar eclipse, there's really two shadows that are important. There's the umbral shadow, and that's when the moon completely covers the sun. And that's only about 100 miles wide. And so it moves across the Earth very quickly. And it's only if you're in that 100-mile wide path that you get totality, where it gets dark.
Isn't
Everybody else gets a partial eclipse. And that's the penumbral shadow. And basically everybody in North America is going to get that on April 8th. But it's only the people in that 100-mile path that stretches from Mexico up through Ohio into Maine that are going to get totality.
So you just said that it's coming up like this.
Yeah.
Actually through Texas, right?
That's right.
And then coming all the way up to Maine. So there's millions of folks that have an opportunity for, I mean, like you said, everybody, it doesn't matter where you are, you're going to have at some point,
That's right.
Part of it.
Yep.
But wow. Yep. That, I mean, I know we've got family, we're in Toledo. You and I are both in Toledo. We've got family coming down from, Michigan and coming up from Southern Ohio just to, hang out, for that moment itself right there.
Yep.
So how long, okay, you said like 100 miles wide. How long then, if I'm standing in Toledo, Ohio, or anybody, anywhere in that, zone of totality, how long will it be where you get to see that, that beautiful image?
Yeah, it depends on where you are relative to the path. So if you're on the edge of the path, you'll only have a few seconds. But if you're along the center line, you'll get up to 4 minutes of totality. So at the University of Toledo, we're sort of near the edge and we only get 1.5 minutes of totality. But if you go down to Bowling Green or Findlay, further south, you end up with almost 3 to 4 minutes of totality. So it really depends on where people are relative to the edge, and you want to get into the middle as much as possible.
Yeah, right in that edge there, right in that zone there. But you're right, you want to get in the middle. That is so cool. That is now would you expect there's anything else? I mean, how dark will it get? I mean, I was like I said, I was in Nashville's airport, so there's some light in there, but it got really dark outside.
Yeah, what I'm told, having never experienced it, is that it feels like dusk. So it's not midnight dark, but it's dusk dark. And so you will see some stars. There'll be a couple of planets that you can see. So to the upper left of the sun and the moon will be Jupiter. To the lower right will be Venus. And then over in the sort of southeast, you may see a few bright stars. So it gets dark enough, and people worry about street lights coming on and that sort of a thing. So
that would be cool.
Yeah, I mean, it sort of wrecks the thing. So if you can stay away from light sensitive lights that will turn on when it gets dark, it'll make your experience better.
Yeah, I've got a friend that saw the 2017 eclipse as well, and he was in a park, and he said that as soon as the eclipse was kind of reaching its peak, he said everything got quiet because the birds quit chirping and, the insects, like were getting ready for the night.
That's right. They think they're going to bed. Yeah, exactly.
That is so cool.
Yep.
So you said it could be anywhere from, just a few seconds to 4 minutes?
Yeah, 4 minutes is sort of the maximum now.
The one in 2017 that I was at, I don't remember it being that long. It may have been like a minute and a half or something like that. So
it depends on where you are again relative to that 100-mile strip. So it went, the one that's happening on Monday sort of goes north-south, but the one that happened in 2017 went sort of west-east. And so it went from sort of Oregon and then all the way down to South Carolina. And so it just depends on where you are on that line for the amount of time you get.
Now, I found this, it's called the greatamericaneclipse.com, and I found this. And so for complete disclosure, I'm not going to be in Toledo on Monday, unfortunately, because I'm living another memory. I'm going down to the Masters. And so along the way, I'm golfing with some friends. So I'll be in South Carolina, actually on a golf course at the time of the eclipse.
Nice.
And it looks like I will be getting 80% of it.
Yeah.
So I wonder if I'm going to need a glow in the dark golf ball at that point, or
I don't think so. It's funny. I don't know at what point, what fraction of the sun has to be covered for people to notice it. So for example, the 10% people, if we didn't, if astronomers weren't yelling about this eclipse coming, most people wouldn't even notice that it were happening.
Yep.
I think 80-90%, you might start to go, that's weird. It's getting a little dark here. Something feels weird. And so hopefully you'll get to have a little bit of that experience.
Well, hopefully, it may ruin one of my friend's putts, not mine, when it gets dark like that. Yes. So do you think you'd be able to see stars? Do you think it'd be dark enough to see stars?
Yeah. So besides the two planets, Jupiter and Saturn, if you look in the southeast of the sky, you might
Uh-huh.
see some of the brightest stars in the constellation Orion. And so it sort of depends, and also in Canis Major, which is the dog, you might see Sirius, which is the brightest star in the night sky. But of course, now you'll see it during the daytime because the
Sure.
sun goes away. So yes, you should be able to see a few stars.
Oh, that's cool. That's along the lines of the birds quit
Yeah.
chirping, everything going to bed. You get to
Yep.
see the stars like that.
Exactly.
That is really cool. So what's I mean, like in Texas, I don't know what time it starts in Texas. I think in Toledo area where we're at, it's like 3 o'clock, 3:15, something like that.
Yeah, totality starts at about 3:15, but of course it takes time for the moon to move in front of the sun. And so it starts around 2 o'clock, in the Toledo area.
Gotcha.
It takes about an hour, maybe a little bit more, for the moon to move completely in front of the sun. Then you get the anywhere from a few seconds to 4 minutes of totality. And then it moves off and takes another hour for it to sort of move completely off the sun again.
Completely out of the way. Okay, that's cool. That's so. I mean, it's not like going to going to the Kentucky Derby where it's only like 2 minutes, right? There's actually pregame and
Yeah,
postgame
the
and
buildup
everything.
is also kind of exciting because people will, depending on where you go, if you're with a group of people, if you have your eclipse glasses on, you can be watching as the moon slowly creeps in front of the sun, and this sort of excitement builds. And so I would say, for the first, hour and a half of it, that's when it's really exciting. But then once it's passed, most people are sort of think, okay, well, I've seen totality and I saw it sort of creep in front of the sun. I
Yeah,
don't need to spend the hour watching it go off the sun. But
sure, sure. So you mentioned the glasses.
yeah,
What is there's going to be all kinds of people outside. They're going to be looking up at the sun,
yeah,
which is like a no-no, right? I mean, we just don't do that.
that's
So
right.
how should we do it?
Yeah.
What's the
So
recommendation of doing it?
during the partial phase, so that's when the moon is slowly creeping across, you don't want to look directly at the sun
Okay.
ever. If you have eclipse glasses, then you can put them on and you can watch the sun. If you don't have eclipse glasses, so there's a great pair of eclipse glasses, exactly. If you don't have eclipse glasses, there's a couple of ways you can try to see the eclipse. You can build a pinhole camera. So you poke a hole in a piece of paper and then sort of put a piece of paper on the ground and point it towards the sun, and you might see a little crescent sun. The other way would be to use a pasta strainer. So if you have a pasta strainer with a bunch of holes in it, point it
Oh,
towards the sun, and
oh,
on the
cool.
ground you'll see all the little partial suns.
Oh, that's cool. That
Yeah,
is a
and
unique way of doing it.
yeah, it's a really easy way to do it. And if you've got your eclipse glasses on, the moment you can't see any more sun, that's when you take your glasses off and you can look at the sun in totality safely.
So you're
So
allowed to for just a short period of
that's
time.
right. For that few seconds to a few minutes, you are allowed to look at the sun directly because the bright part has been covered up by the moon.
Yep.
And what you will see is the ghostly sort of outer atmosphere, which we call the corona. And it's many millions of degrees in temperature. You don't normally see it because it's just not as bright as the surface of the sun.
I could say when I saw it in 2017, I was watching it as it was getting really close, and all of a sudden it just kind of materialized. I'm like, wow, that's it. I
Yeah.
mean, that's it. It was just, of course it is fleeting,
Yep.
but that's it. Hey, and no disrespect to the Kentucky Derby, as I said, okay, it's fine at the 2.5 minutes there,
Yeah.
that one, because that's a memory that I need to, undertake as well.
Yes.
One
Yes.
day.
I've never been to one.
One day I will. One day I will. So if we miss this one, it's not coming over your backyard.
Yeah.
When will the next solar eclipse be in the United States?
It's looking like, I think it's 2044 is the next one. When the sort of continental United States will get another total solar eclipse.
Sure.
Now that doesn't mean people in Toledo. The next one that goes through Toledo is like 2099, I think.
Gotcha.
And so of course it's that 100-mile strip, and 100 miles is not very big. So most places on the earth, it takes many hundreds of years between eclipses, because there's a lot of area on the Earth and there's a lot of water on the Earth. So a lot of eclipses will occur over water where there aren't people.
I did notice that there is one spot in the country that's really lucky because it crosses past. I'm not sure where that is.
Yeah, I know. There's a spot, I think it's Indiana. I forget where it is. There's a couple of towns where they cross, and so they got 2 eclipses.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
There are people for a lifetime,
That's
like
right.
7 years apart, they get to
Exactly.
see an eclipse. But, that's what a stroke of luck on that one,
Yeah.
So I'm out of curiosity too. All right. We can calculate, right, when solar eclipses happen. And this is obviously not a new phenomena. And you look at like ancient cultures, and they were able, at least I think they were able to predict when there were things like eclipses. How did they do that? I mean, this is before telescopes and math, that we know of.
Yeah, I think it has to do, I don't know is the short answer.
Yeah.
I think it has to do with various cycles that they were able to work out. And so, you can, this particular cycle has this period, this cycle has this period. And when they sort of intersect, that there's a possibility for an eclipse. And I suspect that's how they did it.
Sure. It's just phenomenal to think that they somehow figured that out. It's just, it's amazing how that worked. So, Michael, anything else that we can add to really make this memory even more memorable, coming up on the eclipse?
Yeah, I think the thing to do is don't use your cell phone to take a picture of the eclipse. Enjoy it as a member of the human species. So much divides us these days. Just let everybody just sort of enjoy being out in nature. Don't have your phone up looking through your phone to get a good picture. It will be the most photographed eclipse ever. You will easily get photos of it. And what I've heard people say is actually set up your cell phone in video mode sort of behind you and your family.
Oh, yes.
So that you can see, the phone will record your reactions, because your reactions, everyone reacts differently. Some people are screaming. Some people just sit silently in awe. And if you get the angle right, you've sort of got your family plus the eclipse up in the sky, and it just runs. And if you get something great, and if it doesn't, you at least have a memory.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. What are you going to be doing at the Planetarium? Do you have anything special going on at the Planetarium?
Yeah, the university is having a viewing event. And so in principle, people can come and sit in the glass bowl. The thing I will say is that you don't need an expert. This isn't you need a telescope or a pair of binoculars or an astronomer to point something out to you. If you don't want to be around people and you just want to sit in your backyard, as long as you have a view of the sort of southwest sky, you're good. Just sit and enjoy it. Don't feel like you have to go anywhere. Traffic is going to be an absolute nightmare.
Yeah.
So please don't think that you can just get up at noon and drive somewhere and then expect to be home by 5, because it's not going to happen. Traffic is going to be a mess.
Well, thank you for mentioning the backyard, because, as I open, memories await in our own backyards. And this literally is this plopping right into our backyards all across the country.
Yep.
Is something like this. And it is a memory. It's a memorable experience that these things don't happen that often. So take advantage of it. Get on outside and see it. So, well, Michael, I want to say thank you. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you for, I'm even more excited about it. Just hearing you talk about it and give, some more information for us.
Yeah.
And this is just so fun to be able to talk about, a memory that just awaits us all.
Yeah. It's going to be a great day.
It's going to be fun. So everybody, as we said, we've got memories that always await in our own backyards. This is it. So get on out there and live a memory, enjoy the moment, share, your experiences of it. Everybody would love to hear it. It's going to be a fun time. So again, Michael, thank you. Thank you so very much for joining us. And everybody, as I said, get on out there and live a memory. So we will see everybody. Bye.